Support WrestleTalk!
Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida was a little
Easy for you to say.
was a little bit of a banger, wasn't it? Whew.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit of a banger. Bloody love this match. Hello, welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast review of AEW Dynamite Holiday Bash. I'm Pete Quinnell. I'm joined by Tempest because Ollie's off today and Luke's fam ain't feeling too good. So, it's these guys. LIW. For life. Etc. Hi, everybody. I hope our mic's working. Didn't check them. No one's commenting. They're fine.
That's probably a good sign.
That's probably a good sign.
Not my fault.
So here we go. Send in your OmegaChats, OmegaChats, to WrestleTalk.com/support. We're going to go through all the ones that are $5 and up by the time the show goes off the air. And yes, it is Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Merry Chrysler.
Merry Crisis.
So yeah, there you go. That's... Hey man, this is the last time that I'm going to be seeing you for a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's the last time we're going to be doing a podcast together in...
God, I don't even know.
A long time. So we're going to have some fun.
Every time Pete and Tempest do a podcast together, we're drinking now.
It's a celebration now.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's a celebration.
Yeah. A celebration. Speaking of celebrating, that's what Jamie Hayter was doing after this match because she won.
Hell of a segue.
Oh, it was good, wasn't it? So, Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida had the main event of Dynamite this week, which was, I can't believe you'd be so unprofessional to not have your phone on airplane mode.
Yeah, well.
I say, as my phone is also not on airplane mode. Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida had the main event of Dynamite this week, and it was real good. Is this the second time that we've been a main event of a Dynamite? Or has it been more than that?
No, it's been more than that at
Has
this
it been?
point. Because, I mean, Thunder Rose and Britt Baker, the Lights Out
That's
match
true.
did it,
Lights
and
Out.
the cage match did it.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
at the very least, it's been those two. I
yeah.
couldn't tell you off the top of my head if it's happened
There was
more than that.
There was the Deonna Purrazzo Mercedes Martinez
That
match.
was also a main event.
Yeah. They haven't main evented very often. And it felt like a lot of the time they weren't given their fair shake. A lot of the criticism towards AEW's been towards their women's division for a long time. But since they've made the switch and they put the belt on Jamie Hayter, it felt like, okay, we're taking some real positive steps in the right direction. Even before that, with Tony Storm's reign, was really, you could see the first steps being like, we're taking some real positive steps in this division right now.
Featured on TV every week, in matches, given real things to do.
Yep.
Multiple women's segments most weeks, with Saraya coming in and doing the Britt Baker stuff most weeks. And now, even on this show, you had like the promo package beforehand to hype up everything. You had weeks of promos to hype this up. I thought they've done a very good job building up this main event. It was kind of requested on social media that this would be the main event. And it probably would have been otherwise, but this was obviously something that people wanted to see.
Oh, yeah.
And then they delivered.
They sure
boy,
did.
did they.
Oh, they sure delivered. This started off real physical to start with them just hitting each other a lot. It was them just like up against the ropes and it's just chop, 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 punch, 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 punch. And like, it was just that to start with. Real like fast, frenetic pace, which just kept going. Then they just did more spots and more spots. I think the biggest compliment I can give this match is it was perfectly structured in that each section of the match built on the last one to a bigger peak and a bigger climax. And the biggest peak of this match came right at the finish. It was perfectly built to. Here's the finish. Oh my God, crazy. It was the perfect structure and perfect pace of a match. It was exactly the right amount of time, exactly the right like spots to build to it. It wasn't like botchy. It was just like perfect. It was a perfectly structured main event Dynamite match that built on with fantastic near falls. You had a suplex off the apron to the floor. Ouchie. You had Hikaru Shida going for the katana and Hayter like passes out. So she can't do it. It's very once Kenny Omega did it once, everyone's like, that's a cool spot. I'm going to do it for my thing.
Jay White does this spot a lot as well. The play possum.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lie down so you can't hit me with your move spot.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It's always effective, though. There was the sliding lariat came in for the near fall. There was distraction from Baker and Rebel, and even that didn't end the match because you thought as soon as you see Baker and Rebel get in the apron, you're like, Okay, here's the finish. And Baker got up on the apron. Shida managed to get rid of her with the kendo stick, dispose of her to the outside. Then there was another near fall. There was like this awesome like rolling powerbomb spot where like Shida she went for a powerbomb, went for a Hurricane Rana, rolled through into a pinning combination, then picked her up into a powerbomb, and I was like, oh my god, there's so much happening. Near fall after near fall after near fall, which then led to another brilliant near fall with just a straight up lariat, like a really strong lariat off the ropes. Another near fall, and she picks her up, does her like short arm clothesline, the ripcord clothesline.
The Rainmaker.
The Rainmaker.
She's calling it the Haterade. Sipping that Haterade.
I don't hate it.
Hater.
Hate. And, yeah, she got the win in the end. But this was amazing. This was such a good showcase for both women. It was a showcase as to why they deserved the main event. It was a great showcase for the women's division of AEW. And it's just another factor. It was like, they made the right choice in putting the belt on Jamie Hayter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was so many factors of this. It was just like massive thumbs up. I loved this match.
The fans were at a fever pitch by the end of this match.
Absolutely.
And they went into the match, I would say maybe like 70-30 in favor of Jamie Hayter. Like, there were a lot of, let's go Hayter chants and, Jamie Hayter chants and whatnot. And by the end, it was a lot more mixed than it started as. And it was just two excellent workers working.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is like, the biggest factor in exactly what you were talking about with the structure and things building to the perfect moment and then you capping off with the finish at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
That's just being good workers and working that crowd and getting them to build and build and build and build. And right when they're at their fever pitch, that's when you end it.
Mm-hmm.
This was such a good match. This was exactly the sort of thing that I want out of most championships in AEW, where you can just have like a 2 or 3 week build to something on television, build it off, blow it off in the main event, and have it be like a fantastic 4.5-star match that everybody goes home being like, wow, what a couple of stars. And these two really came across like stars in this match.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Like, Jamie Hayter, I think, has so much poise in this role. She comes across as such a star, such a champion. Oh, I could go on and on about all the things that I really liked about this match. One of the things that I want to highlight the most is with like the interference spot, because I do think that from time to time AEW has kind of overused the interference for the finish type spot because of their aversion to doing DQs and things like that. That's sort of been their way to get heat, is you just do the distraction. I mean, Britt Baker's entire run was built on distraction leads into the finish, and then that's it. This was the perfect way to do this sort of thing, where you still have the distraction because they're heels, and it would not make as much sense if they didn't try, but you have the babyface fight off the distraction, still have the upper hand, so the distraction is a thwarted attempt and doesn't as much play into the finish. You still get the heat because they're trying to cheat, but the babyface is good enough to overcome that and is still just bested because the other person was the better wrestler on this night. That is perfect pro wrestling to me. I love that.
Absolutely. And I think it linked with that, almost like a more like an analogy for that is almost like you have a certain amount of like energy that you're expending into the match. And if part of your energy is having to fight off this heel force, it's going to leave you vulnerable to the wrestler that you're trying to wrestle. So even if the distraction doesn't cause the finish, you're expending energy trying to deal with this threat on the outside, which then means that the other wrestler is quote unquote fresher to then be able to take advantage of that. And it's not as simple as they've distracted me, now I'll be pinned. It's they've distracted me and I fought them off. Okay, let's keep going. And the other person's like, I've been resting for like 30 seconds in the corner here while you've been trying to fight him off. Bang, clothesline out of nowhere or something. It's like, it just can turn the tables. It's real good. The way they've done it
keeps the finish from feeling cheap.
Yes.
Exactly. It doesn't feel like they only won because they had this distraction.
Yes.
It feels like they are underhanded. They are the villain of the story because they're trying to cheat, but they are still the better wrestler of the two, which is most times for me how I want my champions to be portrayed. It's that if you eliminate all those things, most of the time, the person who is the champion should just be the better wrestler than the other. And obviously there are exceptions to this rule and everything. And there are ways around this that you can still do by like cheating and everything. But so often it just felt like, especially during Britt Baker's reign, that her title defenses were, they didn't build to the fever pitch moment. It was like, we take the air out of the building and then give them the finish because everyone's sick of seeing this distraction finish.
Yeah.
And that could have been done here, but they didn't do that. They instead built it more and more past that for an actual top of the level, just fever pitch finish. Oh, it was such a good match.
Such a good match. I loved it so much because I was like, I was enjoying myself and I was like, damn, this is pretty good match. This is great. Those last few minutes of when the distraction happens, pretty much from then onwards, what a close to the match. To the point where I was on the edge of my seat, I was gasping and I was clapping. I was sitting in the office by myself and I still was like, when the match started, like, wow, well done. I'm like, who am I talking to? Who am I doing this for? No one. I was just into it. This was a really, really fun match. I loved this as the main event. We had a post-match angle. Tony Storm came back and was part of a post-match brawl. Tried to save Shida from a post-match beatdown. Saraya comes out and kind of evens the odds. So you have Saraya, Storm, and Shida on one side, then you have Baker, Rebel, and Hayter on the other. It was fine. Probably could have done without it, but it didn't harm the match in any way. It was fine.
I think it's just more to set up this mystery woman tag match
For sure.
that'll be coming in January. And you look ahead to people that could be challenging for the title at Revolution and things like that, and there isn't an obvious answer unless they do a turn before then and do Hayter versus Baker, but I don't know that that is going to be happening in the immediate future. So it just puts more people in the mix for something like that. And I don't think it detracted from anything. I didn't have too much of a problem with it, but at the same time, when you look at it and we speak so much about how this match ended at the absolute peak of things, it then felt like the show went on a little bit longer, and that it's not so much at the peak, but it's still, like, again, didn't detract from it by any means, but it's just an interesting way when you look at, like, blocking out shows and things like that.
Exactly, yeah. But I, for one, loved that this was the main event. I love that they got the chance to shine. They got the time. They got the crowd on their side. The crowd were awesome for this match.
That's a big part of it, too, for me, because so often, unless you had somebody like a Jamie Hayter who's very organically popular and things like that, a lot of the time, you had the women's matches kind of feeling a little bit heatless, just because the women's division itself was kind of stuck in this loop of like, well, we haven't been pushing people, so people don't care, but because people don't care, we're not giving them promo time, and the whole thing where it's like, how do we get this women's division back on track? You get them back on track by doing things like this. You put a big heated match in the main event, let it be an amazing, amazing match, and you show the people at home watching that the people in the building are reacting to it this way, and it makes the whole division feel better. It makes the whole match and the whole, both the stars and everything feel that much more heated, feel that much more important. And this is the sort of thing that you can then build upon, because now you maybe build a little bit more momentum with the organic reactions that people are having to just an awesome match. So what do? You give them another awesome match very soon, and you just keep going from there.
And that is how you make a title feel very, very special. Your champion just keep putting on banger after banger after banger. Well, shall we see what you guys think? Let's get into some of your Omega chats, shall we? Send those into WrestleTalk.com/support. We're going to go through all the ones that are $5 and up by the time the show goes off the air. I've opened the wrong link. I opened the Raw Omega chats, Ultra chats, Uzi chats, whatever they are these days. People have lots of stuff to say about the show, apparently. That's good. Kid Phantom V3 said, I think this was the best no stipulation women's match in Dynamite. Also, I don't know if this was joked or said before. Since Okada's Ripcord Lariat is called the Rainmaker, for Jamie, I've been calling her as the Hater Maker.
Yeah?
Honestly, the Hater Maker's not bad. I think I prefer it to Haterade.
Sipping that Haterade.
I know, but the Hater Maker, you make haters by doing the move. It's a Hater Maker.
I'm not arguing with this. I'm just going to get sipping that Haterade, Pete.
John Rye said, great episode of Dynamite. The trios match needed more Christmas nonsense. Ricky Starks deserves everything, and glad to see the women in the main event proving that they belong and pulled off a banger. I still blame Luke for Jarrett and Lethal being a thing.
He did book it. It is his fault.
We'll talk about that more later. Charles Berg said, Shida and Hayter killed it. Excellent match, but I found the whole show to be quite enjoyable. Line of the night for me is Stokely Hathaway calling Danielson a raggedy bitch.
I popped so hard in the office for that.
Did. That's true. Adding that to my vocab for sure. Also, tracking says my package arrived. Has it? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
I've been here off and on. Maybe. I feel like I heard something about our package arriving. Maybe. I don't know. I can't speak.
I will check after the podcast is done.
Yeah.
And we'll see if it's here. Nick Corvello says, happy holidays in advance, guys. As one of the resident Shida stands here in the SWAF Nation, this was the best Christmas present AEW could give me. So glad Shida and Hayter got the opportunity and they killed it. Can't better pay attention to Shida now. I hope so.
It's interesting because a lot of what Hikaru Shida has done over like the last year and a bit has been like really good. It's just been really spaced out. Like I thought her like kind of unofficial best of 5 series with Serena Deeb was like some of the best women's wrestling that we had seen on Dynamite to that point. Just it was them going out and being like, okay, that was the last match. Here's the match that now builds upon that. And they built the story within the wrestling itself. And there wasn't as much just actual like storyline tomfoolery to it. I wonder what they do with her next.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to her feuding with Jade Cargill.
I was about to say, like, in terms of people that could be potential TBS challengers and whatnot, I reckon they would have a good match.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. Will Campbell said, hi guys, I really, really loved this episode. Really glad they kept the ball rolling with Ricky and his amazing promo segment. Also, that main event was rad as all hell. About time TK booked the women's division like this. P.S. Tempest, enjoy the Eggs Benedict.
Thank you. I will. It's Christmas.
Grambus.
It's my Christmas breakfast. I can't wait.
Team Tashuls has been a member for 16 months in a row. That main event was such a banger. Ricky Starks and Jericho. Yes, please. God bless AEW and God bless you all at WrestleTalk. Merry Christmas to y'all. Love you. Thank you so much.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Chrysler. Marcel said, that match rocked, but match quality was never the problem with the AEW women's division. I'd love to see them have meaningful storylines. That has yet to happen. In other news, had my last day of work today for the rest of the year. Cheers, apples.
Me too. This is my last day of work.
I'm working tomorrow.
Oh.
It's fine. It's all right. Yeah, what do you think about them not having real meaningful storylines?
It's a bit of a mix for me. To me, I think like the most kind of important thing is having really heated matches. Because I think when they do have the heated matches, it does feel important. Like when you had Baker taking the title off of Hikaru Shida. That was like a really big deal because everyone was really behind Baker at that point to win the title. And then it was just like a lot of the time the matches, like I think were good a lot of the time, as they say, but I don't know. They didn't have the ball rolling as much of the time with the women's division. It was a lot of stop and start. There weren't as many meaningful storylines. I don't think they're wrong by any means. That a meaningful story here and there would help. I think that there wasn't much of a storyline much of the time with Thunder Rosa's reign, and that kind of derailed a lot of things there. And I think people just kind of got tired of Britt Baker's reign by the end of things. Because when there was stuff like that, like with Baker's defense against Ruby Soho after Ruby's debut, then you start to see that like people are willing to get invested in these things, and you just need more and more instances of that one after another for that to be a consistent thing. And now that you have like Jamie Hayter as someone who's going to be wrestling more frequently on top, people like her, so they're more willing to get invested in her. So I don't know. It's difficult. It's a difficult line to try and walk here because I do think that they could help. They could benefit a lot from having some more in-depth long-term storylines as opposed to just, you know, the long-term stories that we've kind of seen in AEW have been what we kind of criticize of, you know, sometimes in WWE where it's just like this is a story told over a long period of time, but there isn't a lot of things in the middle to actually progress stuff like that. So a little bit of both. I think more quality matches mixed with people that people are willing to get invested in and behind and have really heated matches for, combined with meaningful storylines. And I know that is kind of redundant just saying like, yeah, make everything good and it'll be good, but I think we're most of the way there now, and we just need to see it a little more consistently.
I think the next big, like, meaningful story they could tell would be Hayter versus Baker.
Yeah.
And I think if they do that, with Hayter still being the champ, that would be like a real big women's title program.
Yeah.
Arguably the biggest.
I think so. I don't know when you pull the trigger on that. And again, I will give Tony Khan credit for this, because I think a lot of people, myself included, were kind of waiting for this Jamie Hayter turn on Britt Baker, or vice versa, a lot earlier. I know a lot of people were thinking about it around the time of All Out, when they were both involved in the women's title four-way and stuff. But you look at it now, it's like now they've got that turn looming whenever they want to do it, and the title's already in the picture. And that's now something that they can just add to and make that rivalry feel even more important.
Yeah.
I am very much looking forward to that eventual match. I just don't know how long they keep that going. To me, it's the same thing as like the Omega Page breakup. I remember in 2020 thinking that they were going to break up before winning the tag titles, and then they won it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a long-term thing. Now it's feeling like this is going to be that kind of long-term thing with this breakup kind of hanging over them the whole time. And I'm all for that.
I wouldn't be opposed to them having a match at Revolution. If you have maybe a couple other title defenses between now and the beginning of March, when Revolution is, and in there, Baker turns on Hayter, maybe she grows jealous or whatever that Hayter's getting all this attention, have Hayter as the babyface in the story, as I think she should be. She's so organically over that when you have that split, Hayter should turn babyface, absolutely. And then you have the Hayter-Baker match at Revolution. I think that's going to feel like a huge thing. And when Hayter wins that match, she's going to feel like a megastar coming out of it.
That to me is, again, a lot of the thing there, where I really like these title reigns where you have someone who's really over and they turn halfway through it. Because to me, that is kind of the secret to making a title reign feel fresh, because you then have another complete set of possible opponents for them.
It's like a new title reign.
Yeah. Where all of a sudden, because that's why I think you could have Jamie Hayter stay heel through to Revolution, do the turn maybe at Revolution or sometime in the near vicinity of that, just so she can run through more of the babyface side of the women's division leading up to that, do the turn, and then maybe do the Britt Baker match at Double or Nothing, and then have that kind of be like the start and the lead into her facing the heel side of the roster, just giving her more great opponents, more great title defenses, and really making this rivalry, this title defense, Jamie Hayter's rise, feel as big as it possibly can be.
I'd be well into that. Danny G has been a member for 16 months in a row. Happy Christmas, lads. I'm shocked. Giving good women wrestlers time to wrestle and they'll do a good wrestle. Who'd have thunk it? Back to 10 minutes next week.
No.
Hope not. Please. J.S. Wooten has been a member for 10 months in a row. Happy holidays, and I did love how DMD wore Jamie's Enforcer outfit last night. Nice touch. Have a good time this season, fellas. LIW forever. Ever. Lever. For lever. We'll get into the rest of your Omega chats later. Keep sending those in.
Do we say lever or do you say lever?
Lever. We say lever.
You say lever. We say lever.
You say lever.
Yeah.
You
crazy
weird
country.
You weirdo.
Baubles.
Yeah. Baubles. We'll get into the rest of your Omega chats later on. Keep sending those in to WrestleTalk.com/support. Gonna go through all the ones that are $5 and up by the time the show goes off the air. Let's talk about the rest of this episode of Dynamite. Holiday Bash. Now, normally, if you've ever heard a Pete and Tempest podcast ever before, we always say, this show started with a match. Thumbs up. Always love it when they start with a match. This show started with a promo. Now you might be thinking, lads, you wouldn't like it starting with a promo, but guess what? I did like this show starting with a promo. Do you know why? Because we left last week's episode with MJF beating Ricky Starks and Bryan Danielson coming out. So Ricky Starks said the final image of the show is Ricky Starks being the third most important person. You have Bryan Danielson, you have MJF, and Ricky Starks is just lost, and he's not the focus at the very, very tail end of the show. This show started with Ricky Starks coming out and cutting a promo. For you to instantly go, right, they're not dropping the ball with him. Here's the next segment of Ricky Starks' career. This is the next arc for him. This is setting this up immediately. And I really like the fact that they kicked off this show. They ended with Starks losing last week, and they start this show with Ricky Starks being like, it's all right. I'm going to work my way back to another world title match, and the next time I do, I'm going to beat him.
It would be real easy to have the follow-up to that be Ricky Starks does a 1-minute backstage interview with Tony Schiavone and have that kind of get lost in the shuffle of a lot of things on the show. They didn't do that on this show. They made Ricky Starks feel important. You get the kickoff show moment. You lead off the show, top of the hour, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever time. I don't know what time the show starts. I don't know. I don't live in Canada anymore. This show starts and you see Ricky Starks. He is the most important thing to kick off the show. That is a very big step and a big stamp of approval put on him that they're not going to drop the ball with him. They're going to keep his momentum going. He has such poise. He is such a star.
That's 2 people in 2 segments that we've said. What great poise. Jamie Hayter, Ricky Starks. Poise.
Star. Ricky Starks is a Ricky Star.
Yep, he sure is. It got a big pop, which was nice. And yeah, it was just him basically saying, yes, I lost. No, I'm not going to make excuses. I absolutely should have seen that coming. It's MJF after all. But hey, man, I was that close to beating him, and that was with him cheating. Now I'm going to be ready for it the next time when I face him. And it will be a next time. I'm just going to fight my way back to a world title opportunity, and that starts tonight. It's going to be great. Watch out for the next time I fight MJF. And I'm like, great.
It's a promo. It's the program that we just had, followed by this promo that makes me go, he could be the one. You know?
Yeah.
We were kind of wondering, like, who's going to be the one to beat MJF? Like, who fits this whole thing narratively? Is it going to be Bryan Danielson in a year? Is it going to be Wardlow if you get the heat back on him? Is it Cody Rhodes coming back to AEW? I think Ricky Starks has very much thrown his hat into the ring as far as somebody who could realistically beat MJF down the line. And I like that.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Chokes him up just thinking about.
Oh man, I'm just so into the Ricky Starks storyline. And I thought that this promo was good, perfect for what it needs to be. Perfectly acceptable. I was like, great, cool. Then it got interrupted by Chris Jericho, and then this segment became great.
Yep.
Where Jericho came out. Now, we both thought he looked like different people.
Yeah.
He's wearing a long trench coat, and he's got the bat, and he's got long hair. You said he looks like
Edge,
and I said he looks like Sting. For different reasons. Got the bat and the trench coat.
Listen, if you pop a different face, if you just Photoshopped Sting's face onto the body, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like a long blonde-haired Canadian in a black trench coat. I was like, why is Edge out here on AEW Dynamite?
But Jericho came out regardless, interrupted Ricky Starks, and he put over Starks in this promo, being like, hey, yeah, you are everything that you say you are. You're $1 million talent. You're a future world champion. I know you're going to be, which is why you should join the JAS. And Ricky Starks was like, ha, no. And had wonderful lines in this promo where he just kind of kept talking and there was just great line after great line after great line after great line. And I was literally sitting in my chair just like, oh, that was good. That was good. That was also a good line. Ricky, stop with the good lines. I can't keep track of all these lines. So great. Saying that the J and JAS should stand for jobbers. He called Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia jazz holes, which is good. It's a good line. And he was saying that Chris Jericho looks like a single dad that's on his 5th divorce. Wonderful. Wonderful stuff from Ricky Starks. And it's another part of that where the first half of his promo, when it was just him, was just like, it's a good promo. You had this half of the promo where the retort to Jericho, where you're like, no, this is a great Ricky Starks promo. This, like, put the stamp on it to be like, the first part was good, this bit's great.
Yeah.
It's a true Ricky Starks promo. Really like they're setting up Ricky versus Jericho on January 4th, which should be a great match. And after he rejected joining the JAS, they tried to beat him up. Action Andretti came out to save Ricky Starks to continue the whole Jericho Andretti thing. And my last note for this segment was the whole segment just left me with a big smile on my face. I was like, all of that was good. I'm happy.
I watched this and thought this was a classic pro wrestling segment. You know, just like one thing leads into another thing, a real transition from what Ricky Starks had been doing into what he's going to be doing next. You tie that in with another thing that Jericho is also doing. You set up something for the future. You build a lot of things in one segment. And I thought they did a very good job of this. And I also, funny enough, how I think I sat here with Ollie when we were talking about the Ricky Starks MJF promo that they had back and forth.
Yeah.
Where it felt like Ricky Starks was going to just get kicked in the balls, hit with the ring, laid out, and that's the end of the segment. But they have done a very good job of leaving Ricky Starks as the last one standing when he gets jumped by heels. I think that is a very important thing to keep in mind in all this, because it just, perception-wise, makes him feel like a bigger deal, that he isn't being left laying every time, is now he's the one that's standing tall at these things. It's a little detail, that 2 times in the last like few weeks, I have made note of just being like, that's different. That's different. That is the type of care that you put onto a big star to make them continue to feel like a big star.
It's extra thought that's gone into it,
Mhm.
which is nice. We then had, right afterwards, Elite versus Death Triangle. Match number 5. No DQ.
Yep.
My first, I wrote no DQ, and this sounds like a negative, but then I wrote, oh dear. Not because I thought this was going to be bad, because it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And I thought like, oh, they're going to do some crazy stuff, aren't they? Oh dear. And I then wrote, sports reference, I think Tempest would like that.
I didn't!
I was wrong.
No, because it was incorrect. Stupid Excalibur.
Yeah.
Said it was like, oh, the most recent time we've seen a team come back down 3-1 in a series was when the Cavs did it against the Golden State Warriors, which is true. And I know that they do the blah, 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 blah basketball song for these shows now, which love that, by the way. But it's happened other times. It happened another time that same year. The Chicago Cubs came back down 3-1 against the Cleveland Guardians. Stupid Excalibur. I know more sports than you. It happens, but regardless, I do like the down 3-1, Warriors blew a 3-1 lead element to all of this. I think Death Triangle's going to win the last match.
Do you?
I mean, I might have my mind change between now and then. It feels like the Elite coming back and winning Game 7 is a little too telegraphed. It feels like they're setting them up to lose the ladder match.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's a possibility.
Totally. But this match, regardless, I thought that this, like it's very hard because you don't want to compare it to the other matches too much because it is different. It's a no DQ match. I think this is one of the weaker ones that they've had in their series.
Still good.
A very good match, and I very much
It's impossible
enjoyed myself.
for these two teams to not have a good match.
Absolutely, yeah. But this one was supposed to be a bit more, in a way, lighthearted. They had a bit more comedy in there. They had Brandon Cutler dressed as an elf staring off with Alex Abrahantes. They had Penta using a Christmas tree as a weapon and stuff like that.
You know what they needed?
More.
You know what they needed?
What do they need?
They needed the barbed wire Christmas tree. This is the type of audience that would have popped.
I'm sure they would.
For like one of the top 5 all-time worst TNA matches.
Yeah. I'm sure they would.
And Luke would have been one of them.
That's saying something.
Yeah.
Ugh, goodness me. So it was a bit more lighthearted. I really like that Excalibur on multiple occasions when they set up the Christmas tree in the corner and they whipped people into it, and he was like, "It's the unforgiving needles of the artificial tree." I'm like, it's not that serious, Excalibur. But after all kind of like the more lighthearted nature of this match, they then started to get into more of the spots and the stories going throughout this best of 7. The ring bell hammer being the most important part of this. It was used for a near fall on this one. They paid off on it, like winning like every match so far, and they used the ring bell hammer. Phoenix used it on Omega, and Omega kicked out just a straight up near fall for it. And I was like, well, damn, all right, that was a really good near fall. They had a great spot where Matt Jackson just saved the match straight up, like they had a submission with tinsel on, and I was like, fine, whatever. But then they had the ankle.
Hey man, I bet that would hurt like hell.
Oh, I'm sure it would.
If you have the brutalizer with tinsel that's like really rough and jaggedy going across your mouth.
I believe you find it's the unforgiving needles.
Yes, the unforgiving needles of the Christmas tinsel.
Yes. And then they had, I believe it was an ankle lock on Nick Jackson or some sort of knee bar or something, because Nick Jackson had hurt his ankle, which to me is the most important spot of this match. Not the most spectacular or anything, but the most important spot was Nick Jackson went for a super kick and missed, and instead kicked a chair that was set up in the corner of the ring. Then sold his ankle for the rest of the match. Like, could barely walk on it, could barely put any weight on it, was scrambling up ropes and stuff, and anytime he'd do a move off it, he'd then have to grab his ankle immediately afterwards and injure it more. To me, the Elite managed to get the win in this match. Right? They just about managed to eke the win out. To me, this match was to continue the best of 7. Elite gets another win. Great. But the more important bit is the Elite are messed up now.
Yeah.
You had this ankle injury from Nick Jackson, which I think is still going to be an issue come the next match next week.
Matt Jackson sold his back for like 2 years.
Yeah.
You're gonna see Nick Jackson sell this ankle. Everybody who likes to say that the Young Bucks never sell, the Young Bucks don't have any psychology, they don't watch any of these matches, because the Young Bucks sell legs better than almost anyone that I've seen.
Mhm.
The amount of times I've seen them do the spot where they go for like the Meltzer driver and they can't put their weight on the top rope, so they mess up the move. It's phenomenal.
Mhm.
Every time they do it, it's phenomenal. And it played into the finish of this match. I thought they were going to do that, but Nick Jackson still pulls it off.
But, like, at what cost?
Yes.
They managed to get the win. He managed to do the move.
Especially when you consider the last match in this series is going to be a ladder match.
Mhm. Yeah,
What is that going to mean for Nick Jackson being able to climb that ladder?
absolutely, yeah. And then after the bell, Death Triangle then attack them and bust them open. And Phoenix, who's been kind of wiped out from this, eventually kind of gets in. He's like, guys, stop. So we're still furthering the Death Triangle dissension story, as well as the Elite now being seriously on the back foot. They managed to keep this going. It's now 3-2. But how much do they have left? If they can get the win in the next week's match, great. But man, they're going to be hurting going into that ladder match if that's the case. And that's just painting them as the massive underdogs.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to seeing where we are at the end of all of this, because I would not be surprised. I'm trying to think of like the different possibilities for matches like going into Revolution and such. I would not be surprised if the feuds for the trios division and everything are House of Black versus the Elite, non-title, and Blackpool Combat Club versus Death Triangle for the titles.
That sounds fun.
I don't know if you could do that on pay-per-view, because I'm kind of expecting Moxley versus Hangman to be a pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's different ways that you can book all these things. There's a lot of trios in this division now where I was like, that would make for a really fun match.
Mhm.
And it makes me happy and interested enough to think that Death Triangle and the Elite match 7 could go either way.
I'm into this. And this wasn't designed to be the best match of the 7 or anything like that. It wasn't designed to be the blow-away performance. This was to further the next step in the story.
Yeah.
They had a very good match, very fun match, and told the important story beats leading into the next chapter. Thumbs up from me.
Can I be negative for one moment?
No!
No, okay. And it's honestly, I never had as much of a problem with this aspect of the group until Sat brought it up.
Oh dear.
And ever since then, I've been paying attention every single time. But I really do think it's about time that they just kill Alex Abrahantes.
Yeah. When they did their entrance this week, I was like, he doesn't fit, does he?
No.
No.
It is 3 of the coolest people in AEW and a friggin' dweeb. You know? It's like, I'm really happy for him that he gets to like have his moment to be a TV wrestling personality and everything, but I think it's about time that we say goodbye to Alex Abrahantes.
I really don't mind him being a translator in backstage promo segments. That's fine. If you want to have him be there to translate stuff, that's cool. He doesn't need to be there for the entrance.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be there for their matches.
Yeah.
He can just not do
I
that.
don't think he really adds anything, and I think he detracts more than that, which is unfortunate. Otherwise, all
Anywho.
positivity, because this match ruled.
It was well good.
I'm well into this series. I know some people aren't, which, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but I don't really get it. It's good matches every week.
Great
Each
matches,
match
man.
is different, so.
Yeah. Action Andretti backstage cut a pretty good promo, I thought. Him saying that, like, hey, I'm great, and I beat Jericho. Therefore, I'm awesome. And saying that he's, like, on top of the world, and all the support that everyone's got from him has been a lot, and all that stuff. Just proper, like, babyface promo stuff. It was good. A nice follow-up from his win last week. JES come in, specifically Matt Menard and Cool Hand Ange come in, and they say that, hey, he's on fire. He turns around. Fireball!
A solid fireball, too.
Pretty good.
Like, this looked like it would have hurt
Yeah.
if you take this to the face. It wasn't just like the flash of paper and you take a bump and everything.
Yeah.
This was, oh, his face is on fire.
Yeah, it was a pretty good fireball because he's a wizard.
I'm going to be really interested to see what the character of Action Andretti evolves to be. Because right now I feel like he is indie guy on television, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Because I was looking at this and I was like, the promo feels a little like prepared, like,
Absolutely.
you know, practiced in front of a mirror. This is what you're going to say and everything, which again is not a bad thing. And something about like the whole presentation. If this was a different guy and the circumstances were a little bit different, I would think that you wouldn't want to yourself be portraying this as an upset. Like, I know you just beat Chris Jericho. Jericho's like one of the big, you know, big stars of pro wrestling. You can call him the greatest of all time, you know, one of these type of things. But I think a line would have been nice in here to like say, everybody was calling this the greatest upset, but like I knew I could do it because like I know how good I am and you're all about to see it, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So if we get to somewhere like there, I think it'll be interesting, and I'm still willing to go along with this. But I feel like right now his character is indie guy on TV. And there's things you can do with that. There's a lot of things because that's different from anybody else that's on TV. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when he comes back from, you know, this fireball to the face. But I'm interested. I'm interested in the character progression of Action Andretti.
Indeed, yes. We had some backstage footage of MJF calling Bryan Danielson a gutless coward. And he said that he won clean. And
I was just laughing the entire time.
It was good.
He's the best heel.
It's a good MJF promo. What do you expect? And in response to that, Bryan Danielson then came out for an in-ring promo with Renee Paquette.
The Talking Smack duo.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Nice. She then asked Danielson and said, where does this leave Blackpool Combat Club with the whole William Regal stuff? And Danielson cut a fairly heartfelt promo just being like, look, I know that Mox and Claudio and Yuta probably won't forgive Regal for his actions, and that's cool, but I have a different relationship to him than everybody else does in Combat Club. And, you know, he made me the wrestler that I am. He made me the man that I am. He's so important to me, not just in wrestling, but in life. Like, he's so important to me as a person that I have to stay by his side. And because of that, MGF, there are consequences to your actions. When will you learn that your actions have consequences? Is basically what Danielson said to him. And kind of got fired up, was, you know, shouting down the lens of the camera and stuff like that. It was a really good promo, I thought. When he got fired up towards the end, I was really enjoying it.
This was a very pro NXT promo because he really put over being trained by Shawn Michaels at the start because they were in San Antonio. You got an HBK chant and an AEW Dynamite taping, which I was like, I didn't expect that one when Dynamite kicked off, but obviously circumstances and whatnot. And then there's really putting over William Regal, who's WWE bound, and I was like, the optics of this are very funny. But it was a very good promo. I really enjoyed all of this. It tied together the relationship of Blackpool Combat Club. It tied together why Danielson would be okay with that and, you know, still be on the side of Blackpool Combat Club all the while, and building to what I imagine will be the main event of Revolution is Danielson versus MJF, which would be excellent. Very much looking forward to that.
Unless they want to do it sooner.
Yeah, but I think like they might do something like that, how they did Punk MJF on TV and then did the rematch at Revolution last year.
Yeah.
There has been some chatter that Bryan Danielson hasn't had like the iconic AEW pay-per-view singles match to this point. I think this would be a good chance to change that.
I agree. Yeah. I don't know if they just want to do a repeat of what they did with Hangman last year in Danielson. Just do the same kind of thing. It was about this time last year when they did the Danielson Hangman stuff. So I didn't know if they wanted to just fill out a couple of important Dynamites with this.
Yeah.
But maybe. We'll see if they stretch it out to Revolution or not. So naturally, the progression of this is Bryan Danielson gets interrupted by Ethan Page.
Yep. Shouty Man.
Shouty Man is here. Look, I like Ethan Page. I think he's very good. I don't think the firm or anything to do with it is any good at all. And I think it detracts from everybody involved.
Yeah.
Makes everybody involved with the firm look worse.
I was walking to work today and just thinking, man, I'm sad that Lee Moriarty's in that group.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm happy for him because he is on TV in more of a role than he had previously. But I'm sad that this is what the role is.
Yeah.
I'm sad that he is in a group that people don't care about. You know?
Yeah.
It just, like, it is kind of a shame like that. I don't like the firm. I don't think anybody really likes the firm. If you do, shout out to y'all. But yeah, it to me just like, I feel like Ethan Page could be doing something else that would have me behind him, have me interested in what he's doing. but the fact that he's in the firm drags him down. That he's got a lot of dead weight. And even if a lot of the parts are improving and, you know, Stokely Hathaway cuts really good promos and I like him a lot, the firm just feels like it needs to go away.
They are worse together.
Yes.
Than they are separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird. Not the way it should be. But Ethan Page interrupts. They have a back and forth. He's saying that he was in the finals of the Eliminator tournament. He was in the finals of the Battle Royal. And Bryan Danielson wasn't, so he doesn't get to jump the queue.
He said something funny where it's just like, I was in the finals of the Eliminator tournament. You weren't. Bryan Danielson won the Eliminator tournament the previous year. I know that's not what he was saying, but I heard that and I was like, man, idiot.
Yeah. So then it went back and forth for a little bit. Then he said that he's Vegetable Man, which...
He's not a vegan anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think Bryan Danielson's been a vegan for like a while.
And then Bryan Danielson said that Stokely Hathaway was bald.
It was really funny. I thought this was really funny. I know, like, I understand that this hits a difficult, a sore spot for a lot of the people in the office. But this is a good line.
It feels... It's not that it wasn't funny necessarily. It feels cheap, maybe. Maybe that's what I'm looking for.
You're offended on behalf of bald-headed people
I'm not
everywhere.
offended on behalf of bald people. It's not that at all. I don't know. It's just like, your head is shiny. It's like, uh-huh.
I laughed.
And?
I laughed. I was distracted by the glare coming off of your head. Yeah. They laughed.
Yeah. I don't know.
Listen, when Chris Statlander ran down to the ring and slapped Stokely Hathaway on his bald head.
Very funny.
I laughed.
Yeah. Maybe that's to do more with the... Whatever. Doesn't matter. And he called him Vegetable Man, and then he said he's going to turn him into a vegetable.
And in the middle of all of this, Stokely Hathaway just said, you raggedy bitch.
You raggedy bitch, which was the best line of the whole promo. I wasn't a huge fan of this back and forth. I didn't think it was very good, personally, but whatever. Ethan Page teased that he was going to fight now, but obviously he wasn't. He wasn't in wrestling gear, so he said, we're going to do it next week, because he's a heel.
It's interesting to me, because a lot of the time, especially on this show of late, because finally, after Full Gear and I guess Winter is Coming, it feels like we are starting to hit the reset button and like shuffle the pieces around into new storylines, new rivalries and whatnot. And it's funny to me that you see the reaction that some people get when they interrupt someone's promo or segment or whatnot, if they are not directly involved with that going into it.
Yes.
Like last week or a few weeks ago, whenever it was, when we saw Hook come to the aid of Jungle Boy, where people just didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And it's like this big surprise pop. And everyone's very excited to see Hook in this segment. And then in the first segment here, you had Chris Jericho coming out against Ricky Starks, and everyone was kind of like, whoa, cool, new. And then you get Bryan Danielson interrupted by Ethan Page, and it just feels like the segment then took a downturn.
Yes.
Which is unfortunate. And I think Bryan Danielson versus Ethan Page sounds like a really fun match.
Yeah,
if you had told me that, like, if you told me 2 years ago, before Ethan Page had debuted in AEW, that we would be getting Ethan Page versus Bryan Danielson, I probably would have been a lot more hyped than I would have been at this very moment hearing that. And I think that speaks to a lot of things, like how they've done with Ethan Page, how the firm has been received and everything like that. But it's just not there right now. I'm not into it. I don't care. I feel like there were a lot of matches I would rather see, you know, besides this one. I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh on it. I think Bryan Danielson's great. I think this match probably still will be great.
Yeah, I agree.
Nah.
Samoa Joe did a promo.
I love Samoa Joe.
Saying that Merry Christmas to Wardlow. But the Christmas cheer stops when it gets to the match with him.
There's nothing to this promo whatsoever, but I loved it.
Yep.
Seeing Samoa Joe with 2 belts.
It's good.
Warms the cuckolds of my heart.
The cuckolds?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Not the cockles. The cuckolds.
What are you saying? I can't handle with these British people saying words.
It's the difference between an O and a U. Cockles or cuckles?
I didn't say cuckles. Christ, move on.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? John Moxley did a promo. I quite like this promo.
I can't wait for the Blackpool Combat Club to turn heel.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool?
I think they will make such awesome, badass, kick the S word out of you heels.
Yeah.
And just, he's being like a little bit like, you know, he's being John Moxley in response to, I'm looking at the chat, don't get distracted. He was being real harsh towards Hangman Page, who I thought cut a fantastic promo a week ago when he said that, like, you know, like just leaving it to hang there when they asked him what his son's name was and he couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Like, that is some emotional S word. And for John Moxley to be like, oh, poor baby, what did you think was going to happen when you stepped in the ring with me? I was just like, you are such a heel in the making, and I can't wait to see that full turn.
And, like, he still has a point in what he's saying, in that, like, hey, man, I'm not the bad guy here. I hit him really hard. It's not my fault that he got injured. All right? I'm not the bad guy here. He's right, but he's being a dick about it.
Yes.
And that's why he's got this more heelish tendency to it. I really like the fact that he's going to be the heel of the match between him and Hangman, as he should be, I think. Going to be real good. And then, what was really nice about this is that he transitioned to talking about his opponent tonight, Darius Martin, and how those two are very similar, because Darius Martin also gets injured. Oh, injury prone as well, huh? Well, all right.
He was in a car wreck.
Yeah.
Dick.
Yeah, what a dick.
Oh, I think it is worth noting that they are booking him against babyfaces. You know, between this and the Takeshita match from a week or so ago on Rampage, I don't think there's not nothing here. Stop looking at the screen. Look over here. Don't look at it.
I saw someone calling me a menace.
You are a menace.
I know it's not Cuckles, gang. That's what I thought he said. Which is why I was questioning it.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, so I really like this promo. I thought it was a really nice way to spin two plates at once to put over the match later, and the Hangman stuff, really solid stuff.
The best promos in the company are ones that I think, like, the best promo doers, the best talkers are the ones that can do that can get across multiple points in one short amount of time.
Absolutely.
I've got, like, one of my favorite AEW promos ever. It was the promo backstage that Eddie Kingston did setting up his match with John Moxley, the I Quit match at Full Gear that year. And the first half of the promo is just like, yeah, John, all right, let me get to you in a second. And then put over every match that everyone in his little crew was having that day. Like the Butcher the Blade and the Lucha Brothers and everything like that. Whatever they were doing, it's just like, we're going to get over so many things in this like minute and a half deal. And then back to Moxley and do all that. It's still one of my favorite promos that they've ever done. That promo alone sold my friend on watching Full Gear that year, and he'd never watched AEW before.
Oh, wow. That's quite good.
Shout out to Eddie Kingston. Shout out to John Moxley. Shout out to good promos.
Shout out to good promos. We might as well talk about the match while we're here now with John Moxley versus Darius Martin. Moxley was joined by Claudio for this match. Excuse me. And Claudio, when you're saying that the Combat Club might be turning heel and stuff, I did notice Claudio on the outside. There was no heel shenanigans that he was doing. Just his presence, his demeanor, the way he stood, the way he looked at things. I was like, it's a bit more heelish, isn't it? Like, you know, Martin took a spill to the outside in front of Claudio, and he didn't, like, back up or anything. He just kind of stood there over him, looking at him, and Dante Martin came up and was like, whoa, back off. And he was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just here, don't you worry. Just his demeanor feels more heelish. And maybe I'm reading too much into that, but it's just a good thing to note.
It was intimidating.
It was intimidating. Yes, I agree.
And intimidation is not something not a tactic that I would think most baby faces would try and use in that same way. I don't think there's nothing to that.
Yeah. And I'm curious as to whether the whole, like, Regal turn thing is going to be the catalyst for Combat Club turning. Like, this is the thing that's essentially broken Moxley. And he's going to be, like, turning it. Just be like, I don't care anymore. Like, whatever.
Can't trust nobody.
Can't trust anybody. I'm just going to go beat up everyone. That's fine. I wonder if they're going to play off that, and if that's going to be kind of like the storyline reason for them going kind of nuts.
Is this man ever going to take his vacation?
No vacations. Go on vacation if you want it, Mox.
Workhorse Mox.
Please go on vacation. So yeah, Mox was joined by Claudio for this match. It was a fine enough match. Moxie won pretty decisively, as he should. That's fine.
Yep.
It was good.
That was a very good, fun match.
Yeah.
I think again, we talk about totem pole matches. Jon Moxley's up here. Darius Martin is here. I think the top flight is trending upwards, but they're not close yet.
Yeah.
Just good stuff. I like seeing the interactions that Dante Martin has with everything. Where he's not like, you can't get mad that your brother did get manhandled and just like beat down pretty badly by the end, but like, you're not going to be happy about it either. The whole thing, the whole dynamic of everybody in this match, I was like, these are a bunch of pros. These are a bunch of pros playing their roles very well.
Yeah. Speaking of pros, there's a big pro with this next promo segment. Powerhouse Hobbs. Look at Hobbs. I'm into it, man. I love these promos.
I wonder where this is all going to go.
Me too. But man, I love these things. Same as like the Hangman promo from last week. Little glimpses into very, very personal things. I'm like, all thumbs up. All the thumbs up from me. That just make you feel like these are people.
Yeah.
And not characters.
Yes.
Love it so much.
That to me is, I think, one of AEW's biggest strengths. Is a lot of the time the people on these shows don't feel like gimmicks where, and I think this is changing in WWE as well. But for the longest time, it was like the characters that you see on WWE programming did not exist before they showed up on TV. Like, they're not humans with lives and everything like that. Whereas in AEW, they're not, like, with the exception of some, most of them aren't gimmicks. They're not characters. This is Powerhouse Hobbs, the human who has had a life and is now a wrestler in AEW trying to achieve his goals.
Yeah.
I find that style of pro wrestling so much more interesting.
I agree. Yeah. 100%. And I think you can have more like gimmicky stuff while keeping them a person. For example, House of Black. Very gimmicky, very over the top, big elaborate entrances, face paint, like all these costumes and everything. But they're still people. If someone said Malachi Black trained in this martial art, I'm going to be like, okay.
Yeah.
Not like, that's weird that this gimmicked person does martial arts. Like, no, that makes total sense. He's a person. He's a very extravagant, over the top person, but he's a person. And it all just, it fits. It works.
Yeah.
You know? Much prefer that. I agree. Speaking of stuff that works, Tempest loved this match. It's the Guns versus FTR. My first note for this match was, I swear to God, if the Guns win. Hey gang, guess what happened? The Guns won.
Well, if you can't beat them, join them. Let's go Gun Club 2023. Woo! We're putting all the belts on the Guns. Tony Khan's not stopping, so why am I going to fight it anymore? Let's go Austin Gunn. Let's go Colton Gunn. We're beating all the teams in 2023. They're beating the Acclaimed. It's the Acclaimed in the Gun Club at Revolution. They're going to win the belts. They're going to win the belts, and they're going to hold it for a whole year. I don't care anymore.
Oh, dear.
Gun Club. Ass boys. That's my review.
So the Guns won. Look, the story was good. The FTR were hurting after their final battle match, which makes sense. They should be hurting after their final battle match. The Guns took advantage of that. They beat him up some more, to the point where Dax was going to hit a pile driver, and he couldn't, because he was too hurt. His ass hurt too much. And then they got a roll-up, and they cheated. They did a roll-up, and he did an arm, and he pulled his arm for extra leverage. They cheated. They won. The thing that I don't like, aside from everything, is the thing that doesn't work with me for the Guns in particular, is I think that everything they do is good. Technically sound. All the things that they do in terms of all of the wrestling moves that they are doing are good.
They are functional.
They are functional. Yes, good word. They are functional. But I cannot tell you a single move that they did in this match. I think they did maybe headlock takedowns at a push. They did, I'm going to put your head off the turnbuckle. They did like a drop kick, I think. There's nothing to them aside from the comedy goofiness. And you know what? I think they are great as comedy, goofy heels who are not to be taken seriously and who get beaten up a lot. I think they're very good in that role. I think they are great sports entertainers. They're great sports entertainers in a wrestling company. And for me, that's where they don't work.
Gun Club 2023. I'm not going to lose my mind. Tony Khan's setting his waves. Nope. Not.
You sure you haven't already done that?
Nope.
Okay.
Listen. Gun Club 2023. They're winning all the belts.
Mm-hmm.
Better get behind it, because it's going to happen. This is the pay-per-view match from Revolution. That wasn't even a bit. Like, that's the direction that they're going. There are no other tag teams in this division that aren't wrapped up in trios matches. That's what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. I don't know. Like, I do kind of want to commit to this bit.
Mm. You should.
I should.
Yeah.
But the actual criticism is, like, clawing its way
there.
out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Austin Gunn did a terrible sharpshooter in this match, and that's heat.
Yeah.
You want heat with me?
Yeah.
That's heat. And I knew it was coming too.
Mm.
They were dressed like Bret Hart.
Sure were.
You know, the pink and black and all that.
Yeah.
I tweeted today, Gun Club beat FTR, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I got some people being like, it makes sense. They're hurt. You got to play into the storyline and stuff. On a actual non-bit level, I think that even whilst hurt, FTR are so many tiers above the Guns.
Yeah.
It's not even funny.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just whatever. I am genuinely just giving up on my disdain for the ass boys. Because Tony Khan is just determined to push these guys.
Yeah.
And like you said, to me it's not as much a matter of like the moves they do and stuff, but I will often talk about people being perfect wrestlers. Mm-hmm. Walter, for example.
Yes.
Asuka.
Yeah.
Miro, whenever we get to see him. Perfect wrestlers being people that could not... There are no better versions of them anywhere. No one could play the role that they play better than them.
Yeah.
I feel like there are so many people that could be the Gun Club better than the Guns.
That's fair.
You know?
Yeah.
And not literally like Sons of Billy Gunn doing a Billy Gunn tribute act and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But just these like dickhead heels. I don't think there's anything to them.
Yeah.
And them being pushed above FTR, even for a match. One match is too much for me. Because I'm looking at FTR having the year of all years in tag team wrestling. Everywhere but AEW.
Yeah.
And I think it's mad. It's absolutely nonsensical to me to see the Gun Club beating FTR in any circumstances. I don't get it. I don't really care if they're building to another match.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
I don't want them to have
another
match.
Want it. It's still like, again, you've got the Firm thing where it's just like, the Firm drags everybody down and it's just, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of it. I agree. Real tough. It's real tough for me at this point. I think they are perfect WWE heel tag team. And again, like you were saying, if they were comedy geeks and everything, if they were getting beat by Danhausen, and like if Danhausen and Orange Cassidy wanted to have like a Rampage feud or something like that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Beat the Guns in that style and everything. But they're just not top tier tag teams in this company that is filled to the brim with top tag teams. They don't hang to me. And yeah, they had a solid match here. Like, I didn't hate the match watching it, but I feel like that is because I was watching the best tag team in the world right now on the other side of the ring.
Yeah.
That being said, Ass Boys 2023, they're winning all the belts. Let's go!
I know we've already gone over time, but I just very quickly want to say, it feels like in this company, whatever your definition of the best wrestler is, whether that be work rate or promos or a whole package of what a good wrestler is, it always feels like whoever their champions are, the people that are being pushed, are the best wrestlers.
Yes.
You have guys like MJF, Mox, Hangman, Omega, Jericho. You have your Shida, Baker, Hayter, Storm. You have Jade Cargill. You have the people that hold all these belts are the people that at one point or another are the best wrestlers. Whatever definition you have of best wrestler. The fact that the Guns are getting pushed is weird and jarring because they're not the best wrestlers by basically any definition.
Yeah.
And you feel that. You feel that as a viewer, where the person who holds the belt or the person that's being pushed is someone who is a good or great wrestler, that when someone is pushed who isn't that, you feel it. And you feel as a viewer, like, this doesn't feel right. Why doesn't this feel right? Because they're not as good as the other teams there. And you can have shocking upset victories, like, I don't know, Action Andretti beating Chris Jericho. Because on that occasion, he was the better wrestler, and you can believe that. You can believe from the match that they had that he was the better wrestler at the time. You can't believe that the Guns are better than FTR. You can't. It's a feeling. It's an intangible feeling that you have when you watch this. It feels wrong.
Feels wrong even with them being hurt, with them cheating.
Yes.
All these things, I was like, I don't care. They're not better than them. Like, it is what it is. And I don't want to get too hung up on this too late, but like, there's nothing that the Guns do that they're the best at in this company.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I completely agree with all the titles and everything. It feels to me very much like old school NWA, where you do not get the title unless there is a legitimate claim that you are the best in that division in the world.
Yeah.
And I feel like AEW's done a very good job with their titles to that point, to this point. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying that the Guns are going to beat the Acclaimed and then be the ones to drop the titles to FTR later. I will shrivel up and die at the sight of these titles on the Gun Club.
So in 2023...
Ass Boys 2023, let's go.
Ass Boys win the tag titles off the Acclaimed. Braun Strowman dethrones Gunther for the IC title.
I'm going back to being a New Japan fan.
You know that could happen in the space of like a month. If they do that at Revolution and they do it at WrestleMania, both those things could happen, you know?
I will go back to exclusively watching New Japan in that case. They're rebounding at just the right time. Let's talk about Rick Ross.
Let's talk about Rick Ross. Okay. So, Rick Ross, I don't think I've spoken about Rick Ross since he's appeared on AEW programming.
Oh.
I love Rick Ross. He's amazing. He's not this rap guy or whatever.
Accusation.
Luke, Ollie. You know, the rap guy. Rick Ross. Anyway. Rick Ross is hilarious. Accusations, etc. He's brilliant. He's in the ring. Keith Lee. Keith Lee comes out. And Rick Ross...
you're burying the lead. You're burying Tony Schiavone's intro of this.
No, you go.
Where he brings out Rick Ross, and he's like... And first, I think we've got... Keith? Music hits. What an intro. This segment needed a lot. There was an uphill battle that it was fighting, and Tony Schiavone started it off in the best possible way. I laughed so hard. I was expecting like some stagehand to be like, "Yeah, it's Keith Lee.
Yeah.
That's who we're introducing first." And there's like Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Nope, it was. I think it's Keith? Question mark?
Who am I? He just starts hitting on the thing. This was dumb.
Oh, fantastic!
Rick Ross was there.
I was sports entertained.
Oh, man. And he calls out Swerve. He calls for Swerve to come to the ring. While he's waiting, because Swerve does not come out immediately, kind of turns to Keith Lee. Turns to Keith Lee. Just goes, "You a big motherfucker."
Is he wrong?
Absolutely correct. Line of the year. Thank you, Rick Ross, for that. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to say all the things that I liked about this first. because there's a lot of stuff I didn't like. Rick Ross. There you go. That's what I liked about this segment. 10 out of 10. Every so often, through whatever happened next in the segment, every so often you could just hear Rick Ross partially on mic, partially off mic, just go like, "Young legend!" That's it. That's all he needs to do. Rick Ross is amazing. In arguably the worst way, but amazing nonetheless.
You end up in a difficult position when you are involving a non-wrestling talent in a wrestling segment like this, where if done in short dosage, it could be like really good and integrated really well. But if you're leading a segment with this non-wrestling personality, their timing of live television and whatnot might not be all the way there. But I don't care because this was hilarious.
So funny. Swerve eventually comes out. And this is where I stopped liking stuff. Swerve comes out, and he's trying to cut a promo on Keith Lee, but keeps getting interrupted by Rick Ross, regardless. But he keeps trying to do the promo on Keith Lee, and he says he's going to do things Swerve's way now. He's going to do things on Swerve's time. And Keith Lee, you need to have eyes in the back of your head. And Keith Lee's like, okay. And waits for about 30 seconds.
If that ain't wrestling telegraph.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's someone in the ring behind you. I was expecting Rick Ross to, like,
so did I, because Rick Ross was right behind him, and he had, like, fingers in the back of his head, like, right here. You need eyes right here. But no, it wasn't Rick Ross, which I think would have been significantly better than what we got. Because in comes Parker Boudreaux. Oh dear. I
guess the Trust Busters are done.
Yeah, probably.
Oh darn.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna miss him. He then beats up Keith Lee. Keith Lee comes back a little, sort of. Keith Lee comes back a little bit, knocks him out of the ring. Looks like Keith Lee's going to be in control, and then another lad shows up, and they beat up Keith Lee. And I do mean another lad, because I don't know his name.
Darn, I thought you had it written down because I'd forgotten it during the day. I'll grab it real quick.
Did they say it?
Sean Ross Sapp he's a former baseball player, so shout out to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.
They did not say it on the show.
They didn't say it on the show. It was a man named Grandin Goatsman. Grandin Goatsman, former baseball player.
Sounds like an NXT name.
I don't know. That's at least a real name. It's not Alba Fire.
It's not Alba Fire. That's correct.
Elbow Fire.
Man has tattoos everywhere, including like all over his face and stuff, which I guess is good look. You know, that's cool.
If you're gonna have tattoos all over your face, like a wrestler is one of the careers that you could probably expect to have.
Absolutely, yeah. They then beat up Keith Lee. And I think the spot they then did next was, in a vacuum, objectively, a very cool spot.
Yeah.
Where they got the steps, they laid out Keith Lee on the steps, and they held a cinder block to his chest, and Swerve went up to the top rope, leapt out onto the steps on Keith Lee, and smashed the cinder block over his chest. That's cool.
I like that a lot.
Objectively speaking, a very cool spot. I hated this allegiance with Swerve. I don't want to see Parker Boudreaux and other lad with Swerve. This, to me, did not feel like, here's a debut of a really cool new tag team, and they're aligned with Swerve. Wow, what a threatening trio. This was, to me, Swerve has a couple of heel goons who will get beaten up and will lose matches for him. And that is it. Do not care about them beyond this. This is heel goons and nothing else.
That might be fine. Might be. So here's how I'm looking at all this.
Go for it.
I'm looking at this like, ooh boy, Parker Boudreaux has not shown me any sort of anything since being part of AEW.
Me neither.
To the point that I almost want to retract my statements from like last year, whenever it was, when WWE released him, and be like, maybe there's just nothing there.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they're not wrong to cut bait with this one. Harland. It's like, okay. The WWE Performance Center, I don't think, is the best place to get trained, and that's just me personally. But going to AEW and continue your training with the very good trainers that they have on staff there, and I was seeing him run across the ring on Dark and everything, and then I saw him in the Trios tournament earlier this year, and I was like, not seeing a lot out of this guy.
Yep.
Okay. He's a big guy. he could be an intimidating presence, I suppose. And then other guy, Grandin Goatsman, shows up, and I'm like, okay, you're a brand new guy. You're not going to get a pop when you attack somebody. It's like the Satnam Singh thing, where everyone's like, I don't know who this is. Or when Cole Carter showed up dressed as Sting, it's like, I'm not going to pop for this. So the moment itself falls flat, which is disappointing because it makes the segment come across worse. But it's just two guys to be like bodyguards for Swerve. I don't immediately hate it. I didn't think the segment was good. But I think that there is real potential for this stable to be real stinky.
Yeah.
I'm willing to let Swerve do his thing because I have not been shy about the fact that Swerve Strickland is my favorite wrestler going today. I think this man is world championship potential, like written all over him. If I was starting a promotion, he would be my world champion. I love this man to death. I think he's got all the charisma in the world. We'll see what the presentation of this... Rick Ross is part of this, is Mogul Affiliates. I'm a little bit more on the level with it. But I don't know that that's going to happen. And I don't know how much these two dudes are going to add to the presentation of Swerve Strickland, which to me is the most important part in all this, because he is a star, has star written all over him, pardon me. And I don't know what we're going to get from this point forward. I'm willing to give it a try. I'm willing to chalk this up to a bad debut segment, and hopefully they can surprise me. But I am being very cautious with this, and I am also very nervous because this is someone that I very much want to succeed at the highest level possible. And I don't know about it. I love the Cineblock spot. I thought that was great. I thought that was awesome. And when I'm putting together the Revolution card in my head, Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland is one of those matches. And I was like, this card looks so good. Because you got Mox versus Hangman, Danielson versus MJF, Keith Lee versus Swerve. And you just go down the line there of all the different ones that we can do here.
Ass Boys versus the Acclaimed.
Yeah. And like, you know, House of Black.
2023.
Ass Boy. God damn it. House of Black. House of Ass Boys. The House of Black are going up against, if I'm having my way, one of Death Triangle or the Elite. That'll be great.
Yep.
There's a lot prospectively lined up for this Revolution card that I'm looking forward to, and this match is one of the ones I'm looking forward to the most. I just hope that I don't care about it less by the time we get there.
I think they absolutely should be doing Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland at Revolution. I don't think this is the way to get it there. I think they already had the story, and this is just going to make it weird and detract from it. I think this is the same issue that the Firm has, is that it's a bunch of people that don't fit together. This, to me, is a couple of lads that do not fit with Swerve at
They
all.
look like they could be bodyguards for a rapper. Just covered in tattoos,
Maybe.
giant, like...
Maybe.
Just have them stand there, look intimidating.
You know, Parker Boudreaux is a big lad. I'm not intimidated by him in the slightest. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I've seen him wrestle.
Yeah.
I'm just not... He doesn't look intimidating to me. You know?
I've seen him run.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm like, I'm less intimidated now.
It's like when you're not coordinated.
Yeah.
I don't feel so threatened that
Exactly.
you're going to beat
You
my
know?
ass. And he's a collegiate wrestler. Like, he still could.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that he could, which is the opposite of what I should feel.
Yeah. A couple of things that we did miss, because I forgot to, we skipped over them and then go back. Hook squashed Exodus Prime.
I like Hook.
He's my favorite Transformer.
Yeah. Exodus Prime is a great name.
It's a hell of a ring name. The Firm, they beat up Jungle Boy in the Tron, and Hook walks off.
He didn't look like he cared that much.
Nah, he really didn't. Maybe
but that is Hook.
Maybe that's just Hook being aloof.
Yeah.
And there was also a rap from Sonjay Dutt.
There sure was.
And Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett and Satnam Singh were also there.
Now that I'm not reviewing Rampage anymore, you can put things like that on Rampage and I won't be that offended anymore. Because I don't care. Yeah. I don't care what you've done with Rampage. If I hear there's a great match, I'll watch it. But you can put Jeff Jarrett on there and I'm just like, yeah, it's not on Dynamite. Whatever.
I have a message here from Luke.
Yes.
After he asked me to cover for him today on the Dynamite Review and the podcast.
Are you even drinking or something?
Yeah. He messaged me all in capitals and said, "The Sanjay Dutt rap was incredible and the highlight of the entire broadcast."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I disagree."
Yeah.
And then he said, "Ha! And then the rap dude called Keith Lee a big motherfucker. This show rules."
I also got a message
all in
from
caps.
Luke. I got a message from Luke on Twitter, of course, where I had tweeted out just that the Guns beat FTR, and he responded, "Thankfully, the real Tag Stars did a rap video and saved the show." I wonder if he liked it.
It wasn't very good, Luke. It wasn't very good, mate.
Nah, it's fine.
They had a promo. They're doing a trios battle royal on Rampage, and they had a little promo with Dark Order and Best Friends doing little promos. It was cool. They asked Hangman not to get involved. He will. Moxley's in the match, so looking forward to that. Cool.
Here's my thing with this. I'm not because we're massively.
We're so over time.
It's Christmas. Who cares? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You get extra content this week. I don't like it when wrestling companies are like, "Here's this match, you win some cash."
Yeah.
You know, it's just like it feels like it's a fake thing to be fighting over,
even though very real.
Yeah,
if someone was
that's
like,
fine.
If someone said, for example, on like a YouTube series where you have to name every certain champion in a reverse chronological order, was fighting for some sort of money prize, it's real.
That's a shoot.
That's a shoot, brother. We're fighting for money.
Adam Blampier won 100 pounds.
Yeah. Wild.
In coins.
In coins.
I would much rather this match be like for the number one contendership spot post Best of 7 series.
Yeah.
Just which I think effectively it will be. I think that whoever wins this battle royal will probably be set up as the number one contenders, but I would rather it be presented that way. Yeah, you know, because it's just like they're fighting over $300,000. I was like, okay, why do I care?
But are they though?
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they really?
Yeah.
They're all gonna win an extra $100,000 for Christmas. Good for them. Can I have some? You know?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. It's fine. I saw the lineup and I was like, woo! That's a fun little trios battle royal. There's some top names in there. I'm interested. I want to see it. Maybe have some interaction between people that we haven't seen before. Orange Cassidy and John Moxley. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot here that I think will be very interesting. Just the presentation of things I think could be tightened up a bit.
Sure. And then we have the main event, which we've already spoken about. I thought this was very close to being a 5 out of 5 show. I thought I had a really good time with it. Guns FTR and the Swerve stuff for me just brought down to like a high 4, like just under a 5 out of 5 show for me. But like the start and end, which are the two most important parts of the show, were both great, and I love that.
The best parts of this show were easy 5 out of 5 segments.
Easy 5 out of 5.
Like the main event was fantastic. The opening segment was very, very, very good.
Yep.
There was plenty in the middle to keep you interested. There were just a couple of things that it's like, meh, either could have been done better, could have done without, or whatnot. But when I look back at this episode of Rampage, this episode of Dynamite, never watch Rampage. When I watch this episode of Dynamite, I will think about Ricky Stark's promo segment and the main event first and foremost. Absolutely. So if it is how you leave them, they left me very, very high.
Absolutely, yeah. Did they now?
Going back to Canada soon.
Sure. Let's, before we get into the rest of your Omega chats,
he's buffering.
We potentially have some we do have some Patreon shout-outs to do. I was waiting for the thing to load. If you haven't been to our Patreon page yet, you should. Patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Loads of extra bonus content. You get a new show every Wednesday. We had WrestleTalk After Dark go up yesterday, which was a fun episode that was recorded just before the Christmas special.
We were drinking at like 10 a.m.
You sure were. It's much like today. Not from 10 a.m. though. Who was on the lineup, Tempest?
It was myself, Lori, Blake, Sullivan, Bo Brown, and Editor Terry.
Hell of a lineup that. Let's go check out WrestleTalk After Dark on Patreon right now. And also, If you pledge at the $25 or above tier, you get your own custom wrestling nickname, and it gets read out on a show, much like this one. So thank you to Tony Jabroni.
Yeah. Vincent Shaw Loki Garcia.
Yeah. Vito Ventura, Pet Detective.
Yeah. Willie Big E Singleton.
Yeah. Zoe Sung 101.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. I'm gonna keep doing it, Pete.
You do that.
The Aztec Warrior Hector Rodriguez. Yeah.
Where there's a Will Campbell.
Yeah. Fantastic Mr. Good Old Fox. Yeah.
Nathan, the Street Racing Prophet, Ford.
Yeah. The 3 Count Trey Gully. Yeah.
El Jefe, Elijah Fairman.
Yeah. Have Show Hero Kyle. Yeah.
Andy Datson's Fetish, Timothy King.
All right. Yeah. And JS Woo 10. Yeah.
Lovely stuff. Thank you so much, all of our Pledgehammers on our Patreon page. Really do appreciate it.
Pledgehammer.
Pledgehammer. Check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Now, let's get into the rest of your Omega chats for the day. Sorry we went long. Sorry to all the moderators that are still here. Sorry. Let's get through these. Jam Beard has been a member for 13 months in a row. I love this main event match with the women. I hope Saraya's partner is Storm, and it sets up the rematch with Storm and Hayter at the pay-per-view.
I think people will be disappointed.
I agree.
I
Yes.
don't, like, as just a match, I don't hate the match.
Me neither.
But you know who they're going to be expecting.
Absolutely. Cassidy Delaney said, "Hi-yo, lads. That main event was incredible. Excuse me, it was Shida's best match since the first Deep fight, and it very well might be Jamie's best match in AEW, period. It was so damn good. I really hope they run it back for Revolution, or at least Double or Nothing."
This was definitely a match I would pay to see again.
Absolutely, yeah. 100%. BM Whitehouse 76 said, by any chance do you know why Bryan Danielson is called the American Dragon? Or was he a big fan of mid-2000s Disney show of the same name? Also, remember when an Impact Wrestling title belt appearing on a WWE Big 4 pay-per-view was a story of the year this year?
And then the rest of the year happened.
Crikey. It happened, did it?
I mean, Bryan Danielson has been called the American Dragon since, like, the start of his career.
Oh, yeah.
Like, way, way, way back. He used to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Which... I have read Bryan Danielson's book. It was a long time ago, so it's not as clear in my mind. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was his way of being like, Bryan Danielson's not the most extravagant name. People like the Dragon naming convention in wrestling, so let's throw on a mask and be the American Dragon. A little bit more flair to it.
Jake Long.
Shout out to Dante Bosco.
Yeah. Matthew Robinson said, great trios match. I'm going to be at the show on January 11th when they have the last match, which is a ladder match. Also, we'll get Britt versus Saraya and who knows what else. I'm situated across from the hard cam and will represent WrestleTalk. Love you guys. Thank you.
That I would guarantee that match will be 5 stars.
Crikey. It's a hell of a guarantee.
Escalera de la Muerta with those two teams.
I'm just Marcus, said Ricky Starks is an amazing promo. He continues to always hold my attention and make me laugh while taking him completely seriously all the time. I actually think he should beat Max at the end of 2023. LIW reunion. Nice. Always nice to see you both.
That's what I said at the start.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
He's definitely thrown his name in the ring. I think he is a very good choice to become the next AEW World Champion.
Yeah, I agree. Derek Ayala's been a member for 5 months in a row. I wanted to say this about the firm. Paige does not need them, and sad that I cringe and mute when the firm comes on. For me, it's go away heat.
That does kind of feel like what it is, isn't it?
A little bit.
You know?
A little bit. Yep.
Yeah.
Jan Beard said, here's a sports reference Tempest will like. Death Triangle's about to pull a Toronto Maple Leafs by going up 3-1, then losing in Game 7. Big MGM said, hate the Young Bucks sending leg injuries. Can't use their legs, but are still super kicking and jumping off the top rope.
I said that it had happened since then. I blocked that one out of my memory. Thanks.
You're responding to a different thing.
Thanks, Jam Beard. Yeah, the Young Bucks are great.
That's not what the thing said, but that's fine.
Young Bucks are great. I disagree. What do you want him to do? He was literally hopping on one leg.
Yeah.
The whole time he was selling his leg when he's on the top rope.
Yeah.
They were like, is he going to be able to hit it?
Yeah.
And it was his last burst of energy.
Yeah. And then as soon as they hit the move, they're like grabbing their ankle again to be like, oh God, that hurt doing that thing. That's
Watch Evil
I
and
think it's
Sonata
fine.
versus the Young Bucks from Dominion 2018. You'll see the best leg selling of anybody ever.
Christopher Jazzcat said, good matches this week. Guns versus FTR surprised me too. Too many promos for me. What are your picks for Wrestle Kingdom? I'm rooting for Jay White and Ospreay. Stay safe through the holidays, folks. We have a lot of great wrestling to see coming up next year. I agree.
I would like to see Kenny Omega win that title, just so it means that we'll see him on a New Japan show again.
That would be cool. Yeah.
That's about it.
I think Ospreay might win.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's an
Ospreay
outside
wins.
chance pick, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just Marcus said, dang it, guys. My brain had forgotten that the Ass Boys beat the best tag team in wrestling to protect itself. Now you've reminded me, Broken Tempest.
Ass Boys 2023.
Jambeard again says, I don't mind that the Gun Club beat FTR as much as Tempest does. Gun Club needed the win to show they are more than jobbers. FTR was seriously hurt. Plus, this plays into the fact that FTR are now on a losing streak because they're wrestling so much.
I've said my piece already.
So have I, yeah.
Yeah. That's...
Anthony Brewer said, you guys are big motherfuckers.
Sorry, Vinny.
I'm
we're
so
putting you to
sorry,
work.
Vinny. It's Christmas. I actually like the segment besides Parker and the other guy. The Cinder Block was good to me. Hope you guys have a good.
I hope you have a good as well.
Everyone have a good, will ya?
Yeah.
Everyone wish each other to have a good. Jambeard again says, before I make up my mind about Parker and the face-tattooed goat being with Swerve, I'll say this. Pretty much everything Swerve has done since turning heel in NXT has been home runs. That includes Hit Row, his indie run, and all the AEW stuff. I trust him.
That's why I said I'm willing to let him do stuff.
Mhm.
Like, I'm willing to let him cook here.
Yeah.
I'm just nervous.
Yeah.
I don't want anything associated with Swerve to be bad, ever.
That is fair. The miscellaneous Omega chats from John Rye said, happy holidays to the WrestleTalk family. Looking forward to a great year of wrestling in 2023. Good to see you, Pete. Glad you could work it out with Ollie and stuck around.
Glad you didn't leave on me.
I'm not leaving WrestleTalk. John Rye said, I also want to say thank you to WrestleTalk. You guys were a big part of my year. My mom was in the hospital during the summer and I didn't know she was going to make it. You guys helped distract me and get through it. I'll always support WrestleTalk. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it, mate. Brandon says, Merry Bloody Christmas, you two. The past 9 months of working with you lot has been a blast. So here's to another year. The news needs to calm down. Just wanted to wish you both the best over the holidays and to relax as much as you can. Love you, fellas. Thank you, Brandon.
Likewise.
You're wonderful, and we love you very much. We're so happy you're part of the team. Captain Eric says, I can't thank you guys enough for making my mornings bearable. Having the daily news and the live podcast for my commute has been a blessing this past year. Special shout out to Tempest. Thank you for Survival Series. Would love to contribute one day.
Anybody who wants to give me a wrestling gift, a Christmas gift, can just go and watch Survival Series Episode 2 over on partsFUNknown. Share it around with all your friends. Show it to your cat. It is the thing that I am most proud of this year. I really, really like how that series has come out thus far. So give it a watch if you haven't already. If you have, watch it again. It's really good content, and there will be more coming soon.
It's fun. I'm sorry, I can't read your name, but I'm just going to go with SLID.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of numbers. Add one new member from the WWE to House of Black and add one new member from AEW to Judgment Day. Also, who would be AEW's 4 Horsewomen? Oh my god, it's a lot of questions.
Someone from WWE added to the House of Black.
Bray Wyatt! I don't know.
Finn Balor?
Balor would be cool.
You know,
Yeah.
Damian Priest. Like, you can't just take one from the other and
Yeah,
just
just
put it
do-
in there.
Just do a swapsies.
Yeah, like,
Buddy Matthews in Judgment Day.
yeah.
Buddy Matthews.
Do it. Yeah, they got an Aussie connection there.
Aren't they also dating? Is that a thing they're doing?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
I thought that they were.
I don't keep up with that sort of thing.
I don't really either, but I think
Yeah.
I've heard that at some point, maybe.
Yeah.
Joshua Sebard's become a Memberg. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Also,
it.
AEW's 4 Horsewomen would be like
yeah.
Britt Baker, obviously. Who's been there since the...
Shida?
yeah, Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, Riho, I suppose. Nyla Rose, maybe?
Nyla Rose is a good one.
It's difficult. Doesn't quite work out the same way as like NXT and
Nah.
everything.
No,
But
no.
yeah.
That's probably up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's going to do it for the show. Sorry we went long by a lot. Whoops. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Really do appreciate it. We are going to be back. So this Saturday, it is going to be
Luke and Dave.
Luke and Dave Bradshaw doing the SmackDown review. there is no Raw next week. It's a clip show, so there's no Raw podcast next week.
They want
Instead,
to say this is the longest running uninterrupted show of all shows.
of all
Lies.
time. Yes. So it's a clip show next week, so there'll be no Raw review podcast because there won't be a Raw to review. But instead, we're going to be having the Best of WrestleTalk 2020, Best of December 2020. One of them is going to be going up next Tuesday, regardless. Next Thursday, it is going to be myself and Ollie reviewing Dynamite next week. And then next Saturday, that being New Year's Eve? Question mark?
Mhm.
Maybe the 30th. I don't know
It's New Year's
dates.
Eve.
New Year's Eve is going to be Ollie and Sat reviewing SmackDown. So we got a bit of a mixture of the hosts here for the podcast over the Christmas period, but we'll be back to normal the week after that when we get back to When we get back to January. I think you're still going to be in Canadian land.
Yeah.
But aside from that, pretty much normal. Thanks for watching. If it's your first time here, one, why are you still here watching an hour and 36 minutes into this? Thank you regardless, though. Please do subscribe, like the video, etc. Go and watch some of our other videos, too. Why not? We have all of our end-of-year content going up right now as well through all these days. The best wrestlers of the year, the best pay-per-views, the worst matches, worst pay-per-views, etc. All that's going up across this week and next week as well. So stay tuned for all of that. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Pete Tempest. I've been joined by Tempest. LIW for life.
Let's go, Ass Boys!
Ass Boys 2023! You a big motherfucker!